Financial freedom for many people is the dream. The fact of not depending on a full-time employment, to be able to be your own boss, to decide the hours you work, and to be in charge of your career and your experiences is the dream. I was one of those. I used to work full-time, but I always felt it by my heart that I wasn't made to be working the standard career, typical jobs, depending on managers, and to be dependent on their decisions on whether I could go on holiday, on when I can go to see the doctor, on when I can be in charge of my life. And when I used to wake up at 6 in the morning to go to my day job, I used to think one day this will end. One day I will be able to wake up whatever time I want, to choose my hours, to be financially free, and to be my own boss, really, because I always dislike the fact to depend on other people's decisions and to be a job I don't truly enjoy. So now I can finally say I am my own boss. I made it. I'm financially independent. I don't work for any company. I am my own boss, and I made it, and I'm so grateful for that. But before we get to the how, or actually of what I'm doing, there's a long story behind. If you're willing to listen, I will be more than happy to share with you. Everything started about 7 years ago when I moved to London. That's where I live now. Actually, this beach that you see there, yeah, that is a dream. I don't live by the beach yet, but we're getting there. I live in London. So when I arrived in London 7 years ago, exactly this month, 7 years ago, my life wasn't easy at all. So now let's step back even a few years before that choice. I was born and raised in Sicily, Italy, and I've always had an easy life, what you could call the student life, easy, living with my parents. The only thing I would have to, think about was be consistent with studies and, just progress with university, which is what I've done until my 24th year, something like that. So when in between of the bachelor degree and the master degree, I decided to travel to Florida for a year. I went to work for Disney in Orlando, Florida. It was one of the best experiences of my life. But even there, it was like living in a bubble, right? I didn't have to worry about anything. All I had to do was go to work, enjoy life, travel, have friends from all over the world, and that was brilliant. So that happened between 2012 2013. Yes, after my visa expired and I concretely realized that there was no way for me to remain in the US, how complicated it is with visa and so on. I decided to move to London, not really because I felt that was the city for me, because, from tropical Florida and hot Sicily and London, there's a huge difference. So not that I was particularly interested in living in London. However, I felt like I had no options at that time work-wise, because I knew in Italy there were not really working possibilities for me. I couldn't stay in the States. I wouldn't really consider other countries. Therefore, I chose to move to London, where I also had a few friends who can help me with some jobs. And indeed, it was like that. So now picture this. I lived 2 years of my life between Florida and Sicily, because after the Disney project, I kept on traveling back and forth between Sicily and Florida. So imagine the tropical life, sunny. I called it the normal winter project. I was tan, not so pale like I am now. And so imagine transitioning from sunny Florida to rainy, crowded, busy, stressful London in January. It was a big, huge shock. I used to walk like that with my hoodie on because it was so cold, I wasn't able to truly even enjoy the city or look around myself. I was very sad and I was very traumatized from this sudden big change. Anyway, I had to find a job, and this is what I did. A friend helped me with by giving my CV to the hotel where she used to work, and I still thank her for that because that was the beginning of my journey in London. I started to work in a hotel. Yeah, my first real job, because I don't consider Disney a job. The experience was absolutely traumatizing. I still now hate hotel jobs. It was a huge hotel with more than 400 rooms, big issues, customers complaining, big responsibilities. I hated it. I never use this word because I don't really like this word. I disliked it, but I did it. So I stayed there for 3 months, and then I found another job in another hotel, but this time smaller, fewer rooms, more boutique hotel. And there's things slightly started to change because it was a less stressful environment, and that's where I met some of my one of my very best friend. His name is Ivo. Still now we're dear friends after all these years, and I'm so blessed to have him in my life. Also, the boutique hotel was key to find my next step, to transition towards my next step. At the concierge desk, there was a guy called Ken, who used to work there as well, and we used to, he told me, my uncle works in a big company, in an office. If you like, I can send him your CV. You can work there for the customer service. I said they pay a lot of money, a lot more than the hotel at the time. The salary of the hotel was ridiculous, around 1,000 something per month. And the office used to pay a lot better. Yeah, so we're talking a transition of from 15k per year in the hotel to 25k per year in the office. So that was a massive improvement for me. So I accepted, and I did send my CV, and indeed I got accepted. So that was my first big jump toward an improvement. Yeah. In the meantime, house wise, if you live in London, or if you heard, you will know that things in London are not easy in terms of housing. Housing is expensive, it's difficult, houses are shit most of the time, they're tiny and expensive unless you pay a lot of money. So in the meantime, I was keeping on moving from place to place, from flat to flat. So life was not easy. Let's say my first year in London was really, really challenging. First off, I was lonely. Yes, I didn't have no family members, no real friends apart from, people but not real friends. I was quite lonely indeed. So life was difficult. It took me time to adapt. Yeah, sometimes I was crying. My parents would tell me, please come back. If you're not happy, come back home. And I used to think, okay, if I go back home, it's the easy choice. I go back home, but I'm back to square one. Then I have to take another decision to do something, and that doesn't take me nowhere. So I decided to stay. Yes, I showed perseverance there by choosing to stay. I knew better things were coming. I knew I had to endure that in order to get to something better. Indeed, it was like that. Because when I started to work at the office, things got much better money, working from Monday to Friday, which for me, coming from hotels, it was actually a big, big achievement. Because as you know, people in the hotel don't have free Christmas or New Year's or holidays. You work all the time, really. Of course, no weekends, no free weekends. So starting to work at a firm was actually a big step ahead for me, especially as I mentioned in terms of salary. I went from a 15k salary to 25k salary, which was a massive jump for me. Right now, going back to the housing chapter, for me, it was really important to live by myself because I never really liked house sharing. And if you live in big cities, you know that house sharing is really common because the expenses are really high. So after changing place a few times, I decided to move to a studio flat to be by myself. Now here, the fun begins. The studio flat was super tiny. So a studio flat, you know, it's all in one place. So you have the kitchen, you have the beds in the same room, and then in a separate room you have a bathroom. And the highlight of this studio flat was that it had no windows. So the only window was in the bathroom. Therefore the flat would be really dark, and you just get, you know, a bit of tiny light from the bathroom, not so much, very dark. But that was not even the worst yet. But in order to be by myself, I said, okay, whatever, I'll take it. I remember I used to in the winter time it was okay because, you know, by 3 or 4 here it's completely dark, so I didn't mind the stay indoor. But the worst came in summertime, when here in London we have very long days. It's bright until 10:30 more or less in the evening, and I was stuck there and it was dark. I started feeling really like suffocating. And so at the time my bicycle was my best friend. I used to go on my bicycle around, spend time in the parks, because I really didn't want to stay home. Therefore I felt I didn't really have a home. You know, home for me doesn't have to be a castle, but it has to be a place where you feel comfortable, where you feel happy. It's your nest. And I totally didn't feel this way. But the worst was yet to come. One day I came after work and I hear loud noises coming from below the sink. You might have an idea by now what it was. Try to guess. Yes, rats. So I had rats at home. Not just rats, but cockroaches, spiders, snails. One day, actually during a holiday where I went to visit my family in Italy, I came back home and I found that all my belongings were covered in slime. Yes, the snails have gone all over the flat, even above my bicycle, on the bed sheets, or whatever you can imagine in the flat. The snails went on and they left this sticky, disgusting slime all over. So when I came back, I used to find dead cockroaches, spiders everywhere. And for me, that is a big issue because when it comes to insects, I'm a freak. I freak out. I go crazy. I lose control. I shout like crazy. So I had to fight with my own fears. I never killed a cockroach before. I don't know, that's quite gross. But I know, call me chicken, but I used to call my mom, Mom, there's a cockroach, and she used to deal with it. But in this flat, I had to learn how to deal with issues by myself, how to learn how to kill insects. I think some people, my neighbors, might have thought somebody was killing me a few times for the way I was shouting. And yeah, so in that itself was a lesson for me because I learned how to deal with this kind of issues by myself. I had mold in the bathroom. It was raining in the toilet because it used to get so humid that water droplets would come down. That flat was just a mess, yeah. But not just flat. I mean, if you have a look around in London, the majority of old houses have similar issues, especially with rats. So things started to get really tough when I encountered the rats in the flat. We're not talking about mice, you know, proper big rats, and that was disgusting. I used to find them dead on my doorstep. And, you know, coming from Italy, where, you know, I was blessed and lucky enough to have a nice big house with my parents, very bright, very nice and clean. So I wasn't used to that particular experience. even in terms of safety, because the house, if you know London, is in Walthamstow, which is not one of the best areas of London, and especially the house was in a back street in a small, tiny, dark alleyways. If you want to picture just like a horror movie where the raper is just about to kill the victim, pretty much it. So I used to run when I used to come back home. I used to run to get into the gate and into the flat to lock myself quickly, because there were not such nice people around. It was not. I never felt safe. And I remember that one time I invited my sister over with her husband and my nephew. And then I felt, shoot, what did I do? Like, I feel so ashamed of the place where I live, and they're coming here and they will stay with me. Anyway, so when I encountered the rats in the flat, that was really the trigger that pushed me. Okay, this is time to move on. You can find something better. You know, I spent 8 months in this flat, in these conditions. So I said, okay, time to move on. I don't want to live with the rats. In all this, I did something really silly. Well, I told a friend of mine that I was having issues with rats. He gave me poison. I stupidly put the poison inside the flat rather than outside. Rats died somewhere inside the flats, maybe in the pipes, I don't know where, but the smell was just awful. I'm gonna skip the details of this story because I know I don't want you to feel disgusted the way I was. So I remember that day I was desperate. I called my work. I said, look, I can't come because I have to find another flat. So I was literally, finding a place in London is not so easy. I was spending tons of time in this website called Spare Room to find places. So I found one. I decided to go and view it. I liked it, took it straight away. The place is in Wapping. It's a very nice area, close to Tower Bridge, so very close to my work. It was slightly more expensive, but I thought, I can walk or cycle to work, and anyway, I'm escaping from this hot mess. So I took it straight away. I moved, but another set of challenges were about to begin. I don't know what it was, but to be honest, I think personally, I needed to go through these challenges so that I could learn to deal with things on my own, because I had never done it before. So before Disney, or even during Disney, I never had to worry about things, resolve problems, to be tough, to be able to deal with life. And I think the universe threw me that lesson so that I could become strong soldier like I am today. So here we go. I moved to Wapping, 2 beds flat, live with another girl, Emma. I'm happy. My room is small, but it's okay. I'm happy. It's nice. It's close to work. The first day I go to work and I come back, try to put my keys in. Key is not going in. Somebody had glued my lock. You might wonder why. I don't know. I don't have answer to that. I don't know why people glue people's house, what the satisfaction they get from doing such things. I don't know. But anyway, I called the landlord. I am locked outside. Can you come and help me? Yeah, they changed the lock. Next day I go to work. Guess what? They did it again. And I was supposed to go to another job, but I needed to get in the flat first. And I couldn't go because the lock was glued second times. Funny, right? They changed the lock again. Finally, they leave us alone. I wasn't the only one. All the other neighbors as well were experiencing such things, like, street boys being troublemaker for the neighborhood. On the second day or third day, something like that, the dishwasher, not the washing machine, I don't know, it was a problem with the pipe. It starts loading up with water and the whole flat gets flooded. At that point, I really can't take it anymore because I'm coming from days of strong challenges, the insect, the rats, the glue, and I started crying my heart out. At that point, I'm desperate. The level of stress super high because I had to deal with all these housing issues plus work. But it's not finished there. Also, the previous flat, they didn't want to return a 500 deposit I had left with them, and it was a real struggle to get my money back. Luckily, a neighbor from the new flat was an angel. He helped me. He came all the way with me to the agency and spoke to these people. And as you can see, there are bad people, but you also have the nice one. You have the devils and you have the angels. It was an angel, and it really helped to have money back. What else? Yeah, so the washing machine, flood department, but it's not the end yet. So as I used to go to work with my bicycle, this is very close to where I used to work, I lock my bicycle just outside my door. And one night, my flatmate comes into my room and says, Serena, your bicycle is on fire. So, what do you mean my bicycle is on fire? Yes, go out just to see that the seat of my bicycle is melting away because somebody decided to set my bicycle on fire. Again, why humanity? I don't even want to call these people humans. They are demons. Why would you do that? I don't know. But that was not nice at all. I felt such a level of pain in my heart for how people can be so mean and, have satisfaction from other people's pain. I guess that was an attempt from these people, whoever they were, to observe who were the people living inside the flat because they were planning robberies to get into some flats to rob them. So my bicycle was really, was a scar in my heart. For me, my bicycle, as I mentioned, was my best friend. So it was very disappointing what happened. So something to mention was that the old block of houses were going under, was being refurbished, restored, was under construction. So there were scaffolding. And these guys so the neighborhood itself was amazing. Even some celebrities used to live there. It's a nice area, St. Catherine Dock, really beautiful. But that would attract people from the near Shadwell area or, Whitechapel area that wasn't so nice to come and climb on the scaffolding and do mean things like what I mentioned, like peeing on people's windows, set my bicycle on fire, glue people logs, and so on and so on. So when I used to come back late at night, sometimes, you want to go out sometimes, come back from work, I could hear that there were guys in the scaffolding just above me, and I was absolutely scared. I was a lonely girl, and somebody could have easily pushed me in the flat, and who knows. So I totally lived in fear. Consider I was coming from a house where I had to run to get into, and now this experience, I really felt like I had enough. Like I couldn't take that anymore. It was really becoming tough. Like the universe was throwing at me so many challenges. But yet today I'm grateful for each of them because each of these things was a blessing. I learned a lot. I had my lesson, and today I am who I am thanks to these experiences I went through. Finally, we're nearly there. Things are about to get better because the best possible thing that has ever happened to me since I live in London is that my sister moved to London. So even behind this, there's a very nice story, which is that, a very nice story that proves that the law of attraction and, your thought become reality, your hope, your wishes, your dreams can become reality, regardless how complicated they can seem at first. So my sister used to live in another city in Italy because she was studying, and I was obviously living in London. Therefore, for us, it looked absolutely impossible. The idea for us to live together, and join together, it was not possible. Okay, she would have spent years studying and then maybe start working there. I was building my life in London. The ideas of both of us living together in London was out of range completely. But we always kept on talking night and day, messages, phone calls, because we are very, very close, like soulmates. So what happened was we used to picture and imagine if we worked together, imagine if we went out together and do this, imagine if we lived in the same house. We used to talk constantly about how amazing it would have been to be together and to do things, and constantly, feeling these emotions and visualizing it, and, bringing that vibe around the fact, of living together. So guess what happened? In the meantime, my sister was going through massive challenges with university, where she was. And I used to tell her, can't you see, the resistance? Like, this is not going well for you. It's not working. Because you're meant to come here. Like, I was like, what are you waiting for? Come on, just move, come. Don't waste no more time. Maybe it's not the right time to study. Maybe you were meant to come here, work a little bit, regain some money, actually a lot of money that my parents had spent for her to study in another city. Come here, start working. And that's what she did. She quit university there because things weren't going well for her, and she moved to London. And that for me was the game changer. Absolutely. So I spent about a year and a half by myself, and it was the most challenging and most difficult year and a half in London for me. As I said, I went through lots of challenges with houses, work challenges, relationships, because I was in a very difficult, toxic relationship. So all of that this year was prompted me, pushed me towards what was preparing me for what was coming after, which was finally a brighter period. So to sum up, the biggest challenges were housing. As I mentioned, I moved in a year at something like four or five times, which is a lot. So I was always moving my things from a place to another. As I mentioned, the studio flat was horrible. Work-wise, I was struggling even financially, because you can imagine to be on a 15k salary per year, meaning you're earning 1100 and you're spending £600 on rent, without considering food expenses, bills, transport. You're literally left without money. Okay, so if you're not good with your money, the risk is you go below zero in your bank account. Zero. I was good enough, and one thing I'm particularly proud of is that I always manage, even with this little shitty money, to be organized enough, not having to ask help to anyone. And I made it, and this is something which makes me really proud of. I made it by myself. I didn't quit. Oh, this is too hard, this is too difficult, let me go back home. That's what a lot of people do, especially I know many Italian people who come to London because they think they will have easy life, easy, quick, good work, good life. But the reality of fact is different. You need to earn it. Nobody will knock at your door and say, oh, hello, here you go, here's your perfect life. The work you liked, your friends, the perfect relationship, and abundance. No, it doesn't work this way. You have to earn it. And sometimes, just the way it happened to me, you have to go through struggle, challenge, difficulties before you can get where you want. And that's why persistence is key. You have to persist, continue. Things are not going the way you want, you just continue, you carry on, nothing can stop you. As I said, I could have gone back home easy and have the easy life again, living with my parents, nice house, and then what? Do like all the Italian people I know, when they're 30, 14, they still live with their parents? Nothing against that, but that's not for me. I felt I've seen in Disney what it was to live by yourself, to have your independence. There was no chance I could go back home and live again with my family. I love them. But there is a time in your life, like animals, when the animals leave the nest, they don't go back. They leave and they create their own nest. That's life. That's an healthy process. So in my case, my first year and a half was a true struggle, a big challenge, but it was necessary to get me where I am today. So here we go. My sister arrives. We are absolutely amazed on how our thoughts, our constant talking about it, despite how difficult it seemed to be, that managed to put us together and live together. So finally, it's the two of us, we can get a flat for ourselves. And guess what? I sent her CV to my manager. She's hired. We ended up living together and working together. Not in the same office, but same company, but maybe 10 minutes away. So we used to, walk for lunch and see each other, have lunch together. So guess what? Everything we used to say, oh, I wish we could live together, oh, it would be so nice to work together, it literally happened. We lived together. We had a lovely 2-bed flat, and we had 2 nice jobs as corporate receptionist. So the job was nice itself, coming from a hotel where you have loads of responsibility. It was actually quite enjoyable because all you have to do is like making sure meeting rooms are spotless. You talk to people, and 5 or 6 in the afternoon latest, you're gone. So there, it really started a lovely period of my life where me and my sister enjoyed life, traveled together, met a lot of friends, worked together, participate to work events together. It was a blessing. I felt blessed. I felt truly happy. The only one negative dot, I would say, was my past relationship was holding me back from being truly and fully happy. So my sister was witness of all this sufferance and pain. So it looked like I was fixing slowly all the parts of my life, like, fix the housing. I lived in a nice house now. I fixed the work. I improved my life overall, but there was that one thing, that toxic relationship was holding me back from reaching my full potential. I wasn't happy. I was happy as a person in all the other parts of my life, but I wasn't happy in my heart because my relationship was holding me back. Now, one more amazing detail I would like to add about the house is that when I used to live in the small, tiny studio flat with the spiders and the rats, they were my flatmates, I used to suffer the lack of light. But in my mind, I used to visualize these huge windows, floor to ceiling, with a lots of natural light coming in. And I told myself, one day I will live in a place with lots of natural light. Guess what happened? When I went, I think it was the first or the second flat I viewed with my sister. The second one, I think. Guess what? I entered the flat, huge floor to ceiling windows, massive, lots of natural light. And I felt in my heart, this is it. That is the flat. I visualized it. I attracted it. I felt it. I was sure one day I'll be living in a house with big windows. And since then, I've never been disappointed. For me, light is essential. Natural sunlight, or even the fact that the sun can, come into your flat and make it nice or warm, is key. It's really important. And since then, the flats I've lived in always been like that, because I've always had that at the back of my mind. So going back, I went through a painful, difficult experience, but it took me to something nice. Now, okay, so again, can you see this balance of black, white, good, bad, yin, yang? So you have to go through the darkness to get to the light. When you're in a tunnel, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then eventually you are in the light. So life is mysterious, it's interesting, but it's like that. So yeah, so we made it, we achieved it, me and sister living together, living the dream life, until I spent 2 years in the same company where we used to work with my sister. Even there, met another best friend, loving my job to the point that I feel, okay, this is not taking me anywhere. Like, I'm happy, but I'm repeating the same circle over and over. Wake up, go to work, do my job, go back, and so on. Like, I loved it. I had fun. I mean, my colleague who I used to spend 8 hours a day with is my best friend. We used to laugh and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. So work never felt like it was work really, but still I got to a day that I felt, okay, this is not adding any more value to my life. It's not pushing me towards change and progression and learning. Okay, I'm just on a still curve, like I'm not learning anything. I'm just flat line, yeah. And something that really pushed me to take a decision was that in January 2018, my sister and I traveled to Dominican Republic, and that was life-changing. First off, Dominican Republic, it's like this, literally, like this. No joke. It's paradise on earth. It's palms, it's green, the sea is beautiful, the people are amazing, the culture, the dancing, bachata is like, oh, heaven on earth for me. But the poverty really struck me. Like, I felt, wow, this country is amazing, but the poverty here is tangible. And something that really left me thinking was the fact that Dominicans, despite huge problems, poverty, humor, less, they never lose the smile, and they're always happy, and they dance and they celebrate, and they don't complain about the troubles like we do here all the time. So that kind of triggers something in my mind. I wanted more. I needed more. I have to do something. That led me to the following step. I told my sister, let's do something. Let's create something of our own. So we did. We created a charity project called Live, Love, Laugh Dominicana. We decided to fundraise and collect donations, and we did events, we talked about it. But the good part was that we were going ourselves. We would go to Dominican Republic in person and deliver the goods, and use the money to help some local communities, pure communities there. And that experience was absolutely life-changing. You can imagine, we spent a month with young kids having difficulties in school, big poverty, families going through incredible struggles on a daily basis, but yet they never lost a smile. So there is a documentary that I made about that experience. I will share the link in the comment in the description so that you can have a look if you're interested to know more about the story. But long story short, we came back as completely different people. I mean, never in my life I had been a materialistic person. I knew experiences and spiritual things and people were always more valuable than objects. I've never been interested in things and brands and clothes and stuff like that. Never been relevant. However, when I came back from the experience, that pushed me even more towards that direction of nurturing spirituality rather than things. Yeah, let's put it this way. So that experience was completely life-changing, and the interesting part was that we didn't plan to leave London. Yeah, so our plan was to come back to London at some point. Therefore, we couldn't let go of our flat and our things. We had to keep them. Therefore, we had to keep on paying our rent. So how did we do this? Yeah. In January, after the trip, we decided that we would have gone in May. So those months, February, March, April, 3 months, because on the 1st of May we would have gone. 3 months we did some serious savings. Yeah, I started to cut all the unnecessary things: Prime membership, Netflix, Uber, dinner out, party, and so on. That doesn't mean that we weren't going out. We actually were, but perhaps we just drink water, no expensive dinner out. In London, every cocktail is like 10-15 pounds, so why would you spend so much money on alcohol? Not worth it. So by cutting all the extra unnecessary expenses, I was still enjoying my life fully, but maybe use public transport rather than taxi to come back home. Little hacks that really did the difference. Colleagues at work used to ask me, "Oh, I wish I could do the same. You're going to the Dominican Republic for a month. How are you going to do? Lucky you." And I said, "You can do it too. I'm not like I'm not rich or a millionaire. I mean, you've seen my previous years in London. I've been a struggle." It's just some well thought planning. Okay, so both me and my sister did that. By doing that during 3 months only, we managed to have enough money saved to pay our expenses in London, which are not low, and our expenses in Dominican Republic, because remember, we're going to be there for a month. Okay, DR is cheap country, but still you have to pay for your transport, your flight, your accommodation, your food for a month. Okay, and we did nice and easy. In all of that, think that obviously we had to face our family. Our family. So my parents, just consider that in Italy, if you have a job, you keep it for life. You don't go from job to another, you change it if you don't like it. No. You find a job in your 20s, 30s, whatever, you keep it for life until retirement. So for my parents to understand that we wanted to, quit 2 nice jobs and go in a poor country was a bit difficult to understand. I had to be understanding with my parents and, take it easy, don't go really against them, don't fight with them, but try to explain them how the experience was really important for us. It wasn't easy. They were really concerned, really worried. These 2 daughters that suddenly they want to leave their nice, beautiful jobs in London and go to the Dominican Republic. They thought they must be crazy, or I don't know. So that was a difficult part as well. Yeah, we decided, we felt in our heart, we have to do it. Let's quit our job. I still remember my last day at work, and then we set off and we went to the Dominican Republic and we started this amazing experience. So my mentality now before the trip was, I'm not worried at all. I know I'm quitting a job, but I know deep in my heart that when I come back from this experience, I will find another job. Easy. I will. No question. Like, I wouldn't question it. Will I find another job? What if I can't pay my bills? No. I had the trust in my heart, like trust, 100%. I would have found even something better than I had. And indeed, guess what? That's how we went. Came back from Dominican Republic. I subscribed a few agencies just to be covered on the first days. Like literally after a week I came back, I started working for a few agencies in office, and then they offered me an interview for a wealth management private bank, Swiss company, and I got the job. And guess what? It was a lot of money, for me at least, going from 25k to 31k was a big step up. Again, Monday to Friday, easy work, nice colleagues, few meeting rooms. That work was literally a breeze. Like, I had all the time of the world to focus on my stuff, reading, studying, you name it. But I was free, really, like it was easy job. But I truly enjoyed that for 2 more years. And then the pandemic started, and the pandemic for me, the coronavirus for me, was a blessing in disguise, because that would have changed completely my life again in a very, very positive way. So that is really what has taken me to who I am today, to what I do today. But I think I've been speaking for too long now. You must be bored. So what I do now and how I managed to quit, how to be dependent from a work and just be independent, work as a freelancer, to have financial independence. That's what I have now. But if you're interested in that, I will talk about that in the next video, where I will explain how it all started, what happened during the pandemic, and how I got where I am today. Today I'm free, I have no boss, no manager, I set my own hours, and I do more than two. I do like 3 or 4 things, and they are all activities that I truly love, that I'm completely passionate about. Therefore, I never feel like work is work for me. For me, it's fun, it's excitement, it's adventure, it's discovery. I don't feel I'm working. I just feel I'm investing my time in things that I love, and in change, I get abundance back. I don't even count it. Oh, I made this much from this activity, I made this much from that. I don't even count it. Whatever comes in, comes in. All I know, all is important is that I'm fine, that the universe provides me what I need, and and that I can carry on. But I will talk about that in the next video. I'm going to show you what I did and what you can do as well, because I wasn't blessed or a miracle. I mean, our experiences are a reflection of our thoughts, of our behavior, of our models. Therefore, what we have here eventually will manifest in your life. So I got where I am because my paradigm and my way of thinking. I will get into more details in the next video. I'll show you what I did and what you can do to do what you love, to achieve paradise on earth, to achieve a blissful life, to truly enjoy what you do. I wasn't the lucky one. Oh, she's lucky, she did it. No, I went through a certain journey. I had to, perhaps, I was meant to go through that journey to reach, to be where I am today. And you can absolutely too. There's no question about it. Everybody can do it. There are certain things that you can do. But in the next videos, we are going to talk about all of that, and I will share with you tips and experiences and thoughts that you can implement in your life to make sure you are aligned with your purpose and you're truly doing what you love, what you enjoy, so that you'll never have to work a day. Because if you there's a saying that says something like that, I can't recall it completely, but it says, do what you love and you will never work one day. So do what you love and you will never work a day. Yeah, that's very powerful. So in the next videos, I'm going to help you to clarify and achieve, yes, and talk about that. What does it mean? How do you get there? How do you get the financial freedom? What can you do? I'll share with you what I do. Maybe we'll give you some inspirations of things that you would like to try and experiment in your life. For today, I think I have talked a lot. That was just a small introduction to how my experiences here in London have led me to who I am today, and how challenges are a necessary part to get where you want to be. If it's too easy, it's not worth it. Whatever you gain easily and effortlessly doesn't carry sometimes a lesson with it. Now think about it. People who are born wealthy, I'm not saying everyone, but that's what I've seen, especially in the Swiss bank. Yes, people who are born wealthy, they don't value things because they've always had it. For them is normal. However, people who didn't have those things before and then through some certain journey they go and achieve it. They value them because they know what it means not to have them. Yeah, we will talk about that more in details. For now, I'll leave you. We already said a lot about myself. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions for me. Other than that, I will see you in the next video.